Good morning. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Friends, neighbors, visitors, and guests. Welcome to Holy Trinity Church here in Juneau, Alaska, on a beautiful summer morning. My name is Gordon Blue, and I thank you for joining us for morning prayer on this, the 10th Sunday after Pentecost. This week, we will continue reading from chapter 6 of the Gospel of John. Here in verse 33, John wrote that Jesus said, "The bread of God is that which comes down from heaven and gives life to the world." During the next 3 weeks, we'll read the remainder of chapter 6. Using the vivid and straightforward language of hunger and food and nurture, John teaches some key concepts of Jesus that heal the understanding of generations. They address the big questions. What is important? What is it that gives life to the world? It is the bread of God, says Jesus. Since we'll be devoting a full month to this study, it's helpful to review some of the basic vocabulary of John. In the beginning of John's Gospel, he wrote, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him, not one thing came into being." In John's understanding of God, John's theological understanding, the Word is the way that things become. All things come into being if and only if they've come through the Word. This concept of thinginess in John's theology is very important in Western thought. A thing can come into being, that is, exist, if and only if it can be described in the Word that is the truth. In John's thought, the Word is the truth. John developed a very special use of language to describe and teach what Jesus meant. That's why he is sometimes very difficult to follow. Simple words have been used in very complicated ways. Similarly, in physics and other physical sciences, the truest true language we've invented so far is mathematical. True truth exists, that is, has come into being, if and only if it can be described in language that is consistent with the thing itself. In this muddled way, understanding the truth is possible. It lives and is seen only through this relationship of being and description. So John writes, "What has come into being through the Word in the world was life, and the life was the light of all people." These profound and difficult propositions are followed by statements of comfort and wonderful reassurance, as at verse 5. "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it." And then, as at verse 14, "The Word became flesh and lived among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory as of a Father's only Son, full of grace and truth." And so we see in chapter 1 that although John uses language in a very specialized way, what he is describing is central to Christian understanding. In the letter to the Ephesians, for instance, Paul says, there's one body and one Spirit, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in all. But each of us was given grace according to the measure of Christ's gift. Now, in the early years of the 20th century, Father Teilhard de Chardin recognized that the understanding of the relatedness of all life, as evident in Paul's theology, and the pattern of that relationship is seen from the beginning through the Word made flesh in John's theology, is the pattern embedded in the theory of evolution. Creation is not a static thing, but is life unfolding. Father Teilhard, an evolutionary geologist, stated this as two premises. First, evolution is happening on every level of being, and it has a direction. And second, that direction moves from randomness by way of attraction, through connection, to complexity, and on to consciousness. Father Teilhard's premises are developed as an evolution from particles, subatomic particles, through the forces that connect them, and onward through the increasingly complex organizations that form in those particles, to life and to consciousness itself. Father Teilhard's premises support the understanding that the direction of evolution is the grace made visible by the light that is the life of the world. So in this story from John, the people are taught and led by Jesus, and at first it is from attraction. So that the next day, when the people who remained after the feeding of the 5,000 saw that neither Jesus nor his disciples were there, they themselves got into the boats and went to Capernaum looking for Jesus. And when they found him on the other side of the sea, they said to him, Rabbi, when did you come here? And it precedes this teaching and leading of Jesus through connection. Jesus answered them, very truly, I tell you, you are looking for me not because you saw signs, but because you ate your fill of the loaves. Do not work for the food that perishes, but for the food that endures for eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you. For it is on him that God the Father has set his seal. Then they said to him, what must we do to perform the works of God? And Jesus answered them, this is the work of God, that you believe in him whom he has sent. And from connection, Jesus moves on to complexity in this new relationship with the people. So they said to him, what sign are you going to give us then, so that we may see it and believe you? What work are you performing? Our ancestors ate the manna in the wilderness, as it is written, he gave them bread from heaven to eat. And then Jesus said to them, very truly I tell you, it was not Moses who gave you the bread from heaven, but it is my Father who gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is that which comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. And they said to him, Sir, give us this bread always. And Jesus moves on to bring them to consciousness. Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. And in slightly newer terms, The anti-entropic factor of creation is the Word, the light of the life of the world. It is the bread of life. It is, perhaps, the fourth law of thermodynamics. Sir, give us this bread always.